Our camera is now positioned. Unfortunately, it positions underneath the vehicle, which is an interesting perspective, but not exactly what we're looking for. We actually want to create the same effect that we have in our camera here in our preview. So that way we're following behind the player instead of underneath the vehicle. So we'll change that perspective using some of our code. And then what we're going to do is where we're actually setting our camera's position to our player's position, this is actually where we're going to add to our player's position so that we can offset our camera above and behind our player. Fortunately, we already did some of this work before. So luckily, the player vehicle is at 0, 0, 0. And then what we did with our camera is we actually put it at 5 on the Y and -7 on the Z, so it went up and then it went behind our player here. So we can actually use those values to be able to reposition our camera behind the player when the game starts. So using our update method, since we're constantly keeping track of the player's position, we want to add, in this case, we just use a plus sign like you would on a calculator. And then we should add, I believe it was 0 and up 5 meters and then back 7 meters, so -7. So that doesn't seem to work. So let's see. I believe the problem is, so in fact, our player's position is giving us a vector 3. And here, although this would make sense in our heads, this doesn't make sense to our computer at all. Our program is trying to add some statement that doesn't exist, and it's trying to add it into our vector 3. So what we actually need to do is we need to add two vector 3s together. So we actually need to create a new vector 3, and we're going to use the keyword new because we're actually creating a new vector 3 instance. We're not creating a vector 3 variable that we're storing or saving. Since this is just temporary, we use new vector 3. And so now this will actually create a new vector 3 just for this line of code that'll have the values of 0 on the X, 5 in the Y, and -7 on the Z. Last but not least, we're going to add a comment to our code. So we're going to say offset the camera behind the player by adding to the player's position. Now we make sure we save. So now if we test our game, we should see that our camera is just following the vehicle. Awesome. So now we have a much better view of where we're driving and where we're going. So what you're going to do is in your camera's position, where you set it to be the player's position, you're just going to add a new vector 3 with the values of 0, 5, and -7. Now it's your turn.